End of this Congress, second Congress on realizing Africa's rice potential. I think it was a big success, not the least because of the support we had from the Malian partners. It was fantastic. We had 500 people here during 4 days. We discussed about many things. It's, I think, too much to summarize all that. But I think I retained a few things, at least, that we should be optimistic. That Africa's rice potential can be realized. We face this big problem that about 10 million tons are currently imported into the continent. That is costing close to $4 billion a year. And that money, of course, can be spent much better in investing in Africa's agriculture, and it can be done. I think this conference showed many ways how it can be done. But it will need investments. I think it needs investments, especially to make sure that Africa's agriculture is modernized. Lots of things are still done by hand, and I think through mechanization we can be going to a much more modern type of agriculture with much more increase in productivity. That way agriculture will become also much more interesting, I think, for young people, and it will help also women, who are very often the farmers, lessen the burden of their work. Investments also, I think, are needed in lots of types of infrastructure that came also out of the Congress, in terms of production infrastructure, processing, distribution infrastructure. Many things still have to be improved, because if we want to compete with rice that is coming into the continent, we have to make sure that we produce rice of sufficient quality for the consumers that are often in the cities. But I think the biggest problem that came out here is that there is a tremendous lack of capacity at all levels in Africa. All across the rice value chain there is a need to build capacity, to train people, but especially also in terms of research. We talk a lot about that, and really we have to work on that, we get many more rice breeders, for example, in the continent. There are only a handful left now, and many of them are actually in Egypt, and for sub-Saharan Africa we really need to work on that. Another good thing, I think, that came out of the Congress is that we decided to reintroduce, if you like, the task force approach that was so successful in the 90s, where we bring together scientists from NARS and AfricaRice to work on a specific topic. And I think we will launch at least the rice breeding task force this year with funding from the government of Japan, but many other task forces, I think, will see the light, like, for example, a task force on mechanization. I think that is a clear one that will come up, and on rice policy setting. Then I think what also was interesting is that the Congress approved the idea we have to establish a global rice science partnership with the 2 other centers in the CGR, IRI and CIAT. And it was very heartening to see that the whole Congress here was very much behind that idea and saw the logic of pooling resources across continents as far as rice research is concerned. So in a nutshell, I think we achieved a lot. We have 8 recommendations related to investment in Africa's rice sector. Of course, talking a lot about seed as well, because that's still a big problem. And then, of course, very strong recommendations to reinforce human capacity in Africa's rice sector, and especially rice research. And the Congress participants even talked about a Marshall Plan to realize this. So I think we did a good job, and I'm extremely happy with the way it was organized, thanks to the support we had from Malian partners.